Want to play Overwatch 2 but sick of waiting in 10-minute queues? Have you considered playing a support hero? No? Oh. But there simply aren't enough supports to go around in the hero shooter sequel, and while I can see why, there's more to this role than you might think. The first thing you're going to notice when you commit to babysitting your team of irresponsible toddlers is that support heroes do suffer a little bit from a debilitating lack of choice. But as a result, it's probably the easiest role to get into since your choices are so bloody limited. And frankly, this is still the best supports have ever had it. The state of the support hero meta has changed quite a lot, even in the few weeks that players have actually been able to jump into Overwatch 2, so there's quite a lot to learn along the way. But if you're one of those naysayers who's been clogging up the DPS and tank queues because you don't want to heal, have you met Moira? There is no greater power than choosing who gets to live and who gets to die, and as one of your 5 stacks resident support mains, this is a decision you'll be making on the reg. Just because your Genji is always crying out for heals doesn't mean they're the best teammate to juice up, and one of your key jobs is working out who needs to stay upright for your team to stay in the fight. Without you keeping them breathing and boosting their speed or damage, your tank won't be able to tank, your DPSers won't be able to constantly pick fights they can't win, and your support mate can't pocket everyone else, so it's a full-time job, and a thankless one at that. As the designated babysitter, it's your job to make sure everyone can do their job to the best of their ability, like the hard-working single parent at your kid's soccer game you truly are. Yes, that does mean you'll occasionally have to heal up the Leroy Jenkins of your 5-stack, but don't worry, every team has one. Thankfully though, the support role in Overwatch 2 doesn't just involve heal botting. That would be boring after all, and supports have suffered for long enough. You're not technically considered a healer, remember, you are a support hero, and that is a spectacularly vague and exploitable job description. One that Blizzard seem to have taken a very loose interpretation of when balancing their support roster for 5v5 Overwatch 2 combat. On top of putting band-aids over your teammates' bumps and bruises, Overwatch 2's support roster has never been better equipped to throw caution to the wind and take part in some good old-fashioned extreme violence. Sometimes being a support hero means going to town on those who would dare to lay a hand on your reckless team of toddlers and give them the chance to cool off at respawn while you smite the ones who sent them there. If all this appeals to you, then congratulations! Now is the best time for you to be a support main in Overwatch 2. But before you follow the Kitsune into your next team fight, take a breath, because if you're going to steer this stack to victory and keep your team alive long enough to enjoy it, there's a very important choice you need to make. With the arrival of Overwatch 2, there are, mercifully, now 8 support heroes in the game, which means that not only do you have more options to play with, but it's easier than ever to synergize with the rest of your squad. So now you know why you should play support right now, let's look at which of these healing heroes you should pick for your next foray into the comp queue. First up is Overwatch 2's resident white mage Mercy, and if the wings and doctor's coat didn't give it away, she's a specialist at making things that hurt not hurt anymore. You won't be dealing a lot of damage, her pistol has carried over from the original game, but it's a pea shooter at best. Instead, your ability to buff your team's damage and keep them alive and well make you the ultimate guardian angel. Also, like any good angel, you can fly, which makes it all the easier to follow your tank on their next ill-advised but nonetheless inspiring solo push to the objective. Just remember, Mercy is more than a heal bot. You can juice up any teammate's attack power too, which will be vital if you're going to snag those wins. Mercy is also one of the easiest heroes in the game to wrap your head around, so if you're brand new to the Overwatch scene, she's a great way to find your feet and earn your wings. Next up, let's discuss the kunai-wielding Kitsune lover and newest support on the block, Kiriko. You're going to hear a lot of people argue that the latest ninja to hit the Overwatch 2 scene is actually a DPS character in a support's clothing, and while they're not entirely wrong, there's a lot more to Kiriko than a 3x headshot multiplier. Like any good ninja, she's incredibly mobile thanks to her climb walls passive ability and swift step, which lets you immediately teleport to nearby allies, a great way to catch up to them when they end up in completely the wrong place surrounded by enemies. And since her healing Afuda floats gently on the breeze to home in on your allies, the fact you can't hit a barn door with your crosshair doesn't stop your team filling up on that sweet HP heal. And she can even spare your teammates from the death they truly deserved by using her Protection Suzer ability to give them a very brief immortality state. Perfect for keeping your unruly herd of cats away from traffic. Kiriko isn't the easiest hero to use though. Her kunai, which do ridiculous damage for a support hero if you headshot with them, require DPS hero levels of aiming. And let's face it, if you're playing support, that's probably not what you're here for. And a lot of her abilities need next level game sense to truly get the best out of. So if you're a proper proper newcomer to the game, maybe leave Kiriko on the battle pass for now. Next up is every tank's favourite adopted daughter, Brigitte. Armed with a flail and a dream, Brigitte is a bit of a walking identity crisis. A once all-powerful cross between a tank and a support hero, now Brig has suffered a bit of jet lag on her journey over from Overwatch 1. Her crowd control abilities are gone for a start, and of all the support heroes, she's probably suffered the most in the meta as it stands. But she can still swing it with the best of them in the right hands. She can heal and damage deal with that hard-hitting mace, and the fact she's one of the few heroes to carry any kind of shield over into the hero shooter sequel makes her the bulkiest support you can choose. So if you're a recovering tank ready to move into healing, consider Brig. If, however, you're a born-again DPS who wants to join the Sensible Squads table, picking up Zenyatta or Moira might be a better way in. Zenyatta can be an absolute menace for enemy teams with Orb of Destruction, but he's not quite as good as he used to be. For now at least. Truth is, Zen kinda struggles in the more fast-paced 5v5 format of Overwatch 2, and keeping that line of sight you need to pop off your heals or debuff your opponents just isn't as easy as it used to be. Maybe it's my almost 30-year-old reactions, but Zen just doesn't quite move like he used to. Moira, on the other genetically enhanced hand, has taken to Overwatch 2 rather well. The meme has been well established by now, but there's a reason Moira mains keep out damaging DPS lines. And a few bad actors who keep mixing up their primary and secondary fire and focusing on enemies instead of their dying teammates shouldn't mean all Moira mains are tarnished with the same brush. Despite appearances, Moira actually has some of the best healing potential in the entire game, with a solid primary and biotic grasp, and some serious damage dealing and healing potential with her orbs. And her secondary not only deals damage, but heals you as well, and it requires very little actual aiming to get the most out of. So if your crosshair control is a little dicey, she might be the hero for you. Just because she looks like an energy-sucking vampire doesn't make her bad, that's all I'm saying. Am I biased? No, of course not. Do I main Moira? Why yes, how did you guess? Lastly, we're going to talk Baptiste and Ana, because frankly, Lucio is exactly the same as he was in Overwatch 1, and yes, he's still probably one of the best supports in the game. If you're looking for a jack-of-all-trades kind of support, then Bap might be your man. His biotic launcher is similar to Ana's weapon in that it can both heal and deal damage, but where Ana prefers a more aloof style of tagging you with some boost juice from the next roof over, Bap prefers to be in the middle of the fight. Picking whether to attack or heal is the main crux here, and his immortality field is still one of the best ways to maintain pressure on a point by making sure your allies literally cannot die no matter how stupid their plan was. And working together with an Ana main is a match made in support heaven. The duo have massive splash healing potential, and their kits perfectly complement each other's strengths. Just make sure that whoever plays Ana can actually aim that sniper rifle, or you'll be counting yourselves very lucky you can't friendly fire a sleep dart. So there you have it, now you know why Overwatch 2 is the perfect time to be a support main. Are you a recovering tank or DPS in need of a change? Let us know which support hero you'll be playing down in the comments, and if you're already a support main, tell us your healing horror stories down below. Thanks for watching.